Hey guys, how's it going? It's Vicious. I've got some new equipment. I just got myself the other day the Logitech G930. This is the wireless 7.1 surround sound headset that they sell. Pretty popular item. It was on sale for $90 shipped at Newegg, and I picked it up because I'm doing a lot of these Let's Play videos on YouTube, and having a headset would be nice, I thought, because of all the stuff I have, I don't actually have a headset. So I picked it up, and that means it's time for a new product review. But I actually am doing a video before I do the review. This is going to be a product, what are you going to call it, showdown? Because the main reason I got the G930 was actually the concept of having a microphone on my headset so I could talk easier. I've been using a desktop microphone, the Yeti, and it works really great. It's a high quality microphone, but it has some drawbacks to it versus having a headset mic. And I've gone through multiple microphones in the past. I've got the clip-on Zalman mic. I think it's called the ZM-Mic1. I'm not sure. You clipped onto your cord on your headphones, and I've recommended that to a lot of people. I did my own headset modification, which is actually another video. I'll link to it. And then I got the Yeti, and then now I just got the G930. And I thought to myself, when I was researching the G930, I could not find a really good review of it, and I definitely couldn't find any comparisons as far as microphone quality. And when I got it in the mail yesterday and I tried it out, I was very, very surprised in what I found. So today's video is going to be a showdown between these microphones. First, it's going to be broken into two parts. The first part's going to be your general showdown. I'm going to give you sound samples of all these microphones and let you hear the quality difference, and you decide for yourself what sounds better, what sounds worse. And then the second part is going to be more of what I normally do. What I do different than most other reviewers is I elaborate and kind of explore deeper into the concept of what's what and why is good and is bad and blah 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 that I always do. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on some of these microphone testing. Okay guys, I am pretty much set up for the first microphone. This is that Zalman clip-on microphone. It's pretty cheap. It's like $8, I think, maybe even less, depending where you get it from. The purpose of this is that you get to buy the microphone and use your own high-quality headphones, which is really important for me personally. I don't like the idea of headsets so much because you're limited in choices. There's many less headsets than there are headphones, and generally speaking, the quality of headsets is not what you get in headphones. So my favorite headphones I have right now are the ones I'm wearing, the Ultrasone H5 2400s. They're really good for casting. They're open sound, so I can hear myself talk, and they don't have a microphone though. So you would get something like this, and it actually is designed to clip onto the cable on the headphones. So it's in a somewhat good proximity for talking when you do voice over IP. Now the biggest problem with this is it's not where your voice is going, it's down below, and that's why quality sometimes suffers. So when I was using this, I'd find myself sometimes kind of like looking down when I had to say something to talk into it more. I had an idea of making it like an extension off of my headphones and turning it into a boom microphone, and I think that would actually make this a really good microphone. But we're going to test it. I'm going to do two sound samples with this one. I'm going to do the clipped on your cord like it's supposed to be, and then I'm going to kind of hold it out in front of me to emulate what it would sound like if it was in front of you. I'm recording with Adobe Audition, and I'm going to be, don't ask me why I picked this. I don't know why I picked it, but I chose that I'm going to read an excerpt from the Holy Hand Grenade sketch from the Monty Python Quest of the Holy Grail, just because it's a funny skit and it's something I can read more than once for these tests, instead of just being like testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. So let me start up the recording and read this out. I'm going to try to do the same volume and consistency for all these. Alright. First, shalt thou take out the holy pen. Then shalt thou count to 3. No more, no less. 3 shalt be the number thou shalt count, and the number of the counting shall be 3. 4 shalt thou not count, nor either count thou 2, excepting that thou then proceed to 3. 5 is right out. Once the number 3, being the third number, be reached, then lobbest thou thy holy hand grenade of Antioch towards thy foe,
who, being naughty in my sight, shall snuff it.
Alright, let me save this as Zalman clipped, and we'll save that. Alright, we're going to delete that and do it one more time. This time I'm going to hold the microphone kind of out in front of me a little bit just to show how big of a difference it could possibly make if you're, holding it out in front of you. Now keep in mind that with an analog microphone like this, the quality of the microphone isn't just dependent on the microphone itself. It's dependent on what you're plugging it into. If you're plugging it into a really low-grade onboard sound card, it might not do nearly as well as an aftermarket sound card. I'm using a USB adapter that came with another headset, and I think it works pretty well, and I'm going to use the same sound adapter for the next test. So here we go, let's do this test.
First, shalt thou take out the holy pin, then shalt thou count to 3, no more, no less. 3 shalt be the number thou shalt count, and the number of the counting shall be 3. 4 shalt thou not count, nor either count thou 2, excepting that thou then proceed to 3. 5 is right out. Once the number 3, being the third number, be reached, then lobbest thou holy hand grenade of Antioch towards thy foe, who, being naughty in my sight, shall snuff it.
Alright, we're done with that one. Maybe we'll save this as Zalman. Boom, like if it was a boom microphone. Now keep in mind that my room is not ideal for recording by any means. I have computer noise, I have air conditioner noise, I have ceiling fan noise. There's a lot of noise in here, so all these microphones are going to have some background noise probably. And that's not the microphone's fault, that's just the recording environment. Okay. We are now going to unplug the Zalman mic. I'm going to take off my awesome headphones that I love to death. And these are my Audio-Technica A700s. These were my main headphones for a very long time. They're very, very comfortable. They're very well made. They're very well priced. Well balanced all around headphones. I highly recommend them to anybody. The reason I had to switch headphones though is because now I'm testing. This was an Altec Lansing VoIP chat headset thing, one of those really cheap ones that aren't really made for listening to music or playing games, just made for speech. But I destroyed it. I broke the left side of it off, put some Velcro on it, and put Velcro on my headphones so that I can attach the microphone as a modular headset. So I used this for quite a while. The only reason I actually stopped using this and bought the Yeti was just because it was too much trouble with the cords. It kind of drove me nuts. So let's get this configured now. Delete that and start. Let's do a test recording. Yep, it's picking up good. Alright, we're ready to roll on this new test. This is the Altec Lansing self-modified headset.
First shalt thou take out the holy pin, then shalt thou count to 3, no more, no less. 3 shalt be the number thou shalt count, and the number of the counting shall be 3. 4 shalt thou not count, nor either count thou 2, excepting that thou then proceed to 3. 5 is right out. Once the number 3, being the third number, be reached, then lobbest thou thy holy hand grenade of Antioch towards thy foe, who being naughty in my sight shall snuff it.
The waveform on that one looks nice. It's not clipping anywhere. It actually picked up less noise. That looks like a pretty smooth waveform. And as a matter of fact, I remember when I used this all the time, I actually was very happy with the performance. And this was cheap. This was like $10, and it came with that USB audio adapter that I'm using. So we'll name this one Altec Lansing. And this is what I was telling you about. It goes into the USB. It has a 3.5 millimeter jack, one for the headphones, one for the microphone. It came with that headset that I destroyed, and basically this is just an external sound card. It prevents me from having to go to the back of my computer to plug these in. It's very convenient, and the sound quality was actually just as good as the Creative X-Fi that I had in my computer for microphone recording. So that's that. The next thing we shall test is the almighty Blue Yeti. This is definitely the highest quality microphone I have, I would say, but that doesn't mean it's going to sound the best. That's the whole reason we're doing this. There's definitely some drawbacks to the Blue Yeti, and that's when we'll get to, in section 2, and I said I'll explain things more. Alright, I'm going to change over to the Yeti. And we'll start recording. Test, test. Good, okay.
First, shalt thou take out the holy pin, then shalt thou count to 3, no more, no less. 3 shall be the number thou shalt count, and the number of the counting shall be 3. 4 shalt thou not count, nor either count thou 2, excepting that thou then proceed to 3. 5 is right out. Once the number 3, being the third number, be reached, then lobbest thy holy hand grenade of Antioch towards thy foe, who being naughty in my sight, shall snuff it.
And I can tell you that that has a wider dynamic range. I can tell from looking at the waveform. Picked up more of the vocalization of my voice. I clipped just a little bit on there. So you would lower your gain to prevent the clipping. But that is one of the issues with that microphone, is that your vocalization gets picked up so easy. You can clip easier, and distance away from the microphone, everything like that really comes into play. And it's going to pick up more background noise. I can definitely tell you that as well. We'll say this as Yeti. Alright, it's time to take the headphones off. And put on the brand new shiny Logitech G930. So the wireless is great. I made sure I went ahead and got the G930 and not the G50. I'm not sure what the model is that doesn't have have wireless on it, but I made sure I splurged for the wireless because I do like wireless, and if I ever have to do any casting on my laptop, this would be convenient. I have several friends that have these. They sound good when I talk to them, and it was time for me to put it to the test. Alright, so I'm going to have to go to my control panel and change the microphone. We need to change it to the G930. And I'm going to exit Adobe Audition because there's a problem, and I'll get to it in the review of the G930, but I actually cannot use the G930 to record in Adobe Audition. And there's a flaw that prevents me from doing so. So I should have it set as my default device, and we're going to use a free alternative to Adobe Audition that I used to use. We'll use Audacity. And let's see here, make sure we got the right stuff set up. Playback is the G930, recording is G930. Yep. Start recording. Let's go read this off.
First shalt thou take out the holy pin, then shalt thou count to 3, no more, no less. 3 shall be the number thou shalt count, and the number of the counting shall be 3. 4 shalt thou not count, nor either count thou 2, excepting that thou then proceed to 3. 5 is right out. Once the number being 3, being the third number be reached, then lobbest thou thy holy hand grenade of Antioch towards thy foe, who, being not in my sight, shall snuff it.
And the G930 waveform has no background noise showing up with the noise canceling microphone, but don't be fooled, it's actually not just noise canceling. What it is it's voice activation. It's not recording anything until it detects enough volume of my voice to start recording. I noticed when I was testing this yesterday that I can hear the background noise just as well on the G930 recording as I can all the others once the microphone starts recording my voice, so you can hear it in the back. This could probably fool a lot of, I'm not going to call people novice users, but just laymen's who think that, hey, I don't see the background noise on here, I don't hear it, that it's not there. But in reality, your voice is just covering it up mostly, and it is still there. It's not just magically making the noise go away. So we need to save this as the G930. Alright. So I should have Altec Lansing. Yep, everything's here. I'll just leave it on. Alright, so at this point, I know this might have been a slow-moving video, but somebody out there is going to want this information. You've heard the sound samples. You've got to hear the difference in quality of these microphones, just in flat, plain-out use. And you've been able to determine, based on what you heard, which microphone is better. Now it's time for me to really get into it and explain a few things you might not have thought about when you heard those samples on the first run. First things first, the background noise. I know this Yeti picked up a lot of background noise because it is the most sensitive microphone that I have. And it picks up things very, very well. But when you listen to my Let's Play videos on YouTube, you don't hear that noise, and there's a good reason for that. I run a noise filter. It's that easy. When you are recording audio to produce and publish later, you can use a program like Audacity or Audition to run a noise reduction filter and remove that background noise. So as long as you have a good consistent noise in the background, you can remove it. And therefore, if you have a superior quality microphone like this, even if it does pick up noise, that's not as big of a deal as you might have thought it was. And voice chat and things like that, the noise might be there and you can't do much about it because it's a live stream. But I actually do all my voice talk with my friends on Mumble, and Mumble does have built-in noise reduction, so it's not that big of a deal. I wanted to get the headset microphone because I was thinking to myself as I was playing Let's Play videos with my friends that I had some issues with the Yeti. First of all, this is a triple monitor setup until the day I bought the Yeti. And then suddenly I had a 2-monitor, 1 microphone setup because the thing is so big it literally blocks off the view of one of my monitors. And I dealt with it, but it kind of sucked. So I was thinking to myself, that's one reason to get something like this, because I can move this out of the way. 2, I had a mechanical keyboard here. It clicks, and because the microphone is placed right next to my keyboard, it picks up all my keyboard noise very, very easily. And I'm thinking to myself, a headset microphone probably won't have that big of a problem because it's further away from that source of sound. The next thing is the Yeti being so sensitive and sitting directly on the desk picks up any vibrations into it. So if you tap on the desk or bump into your desk, it picks that up very, very clearly. So these are some flaws that the Yeti has, despite the idea that it might have a higher quality recording capability. You can fix most of these shortcomings by placing it on a microphone stand. It actually is removable from the default base that it comes with, and you can place it on a standard microphone stand. But they're not cheap. I don't have one because they're not cheap, especially the shock mounts. And I really don't have a place to put it either. I'd have to get like a nice articulating arm that could either mount to the wall or clip to my desk somewhere. And I've never had the money to do that, and I've dealt with it the way it is. But me saying those negative points about the Yeti, about picking up vibrations, about being close to my keyboard, about blocking my monitor, here's something you might not have thought about. If you're recording stuff like voiceovers, having the ability to control your distance from the microphone is a very, very powerful and necessary tool. Say you're doing a scene where you're voicing two different characters. One's at a distance, like talking or yelling at someone, like, hey you, what do you do? You know, come here. You would back up from the microphone when you do that because it will actually record the distance. And then if the other character you're talking in the first person, that's when you're going to get it up close to the microphone and talk in the first person. You will hear the closeness, and that distance gets transcribed into the audio, and you get a more professional and a more realistic recording that way. With a headset, the microphone is always right there with you. You can't control your distance and vocalization like that. That's also why I have that pop filter on here, because when you get close to the microphone, it'll pick up your P's and your other like S's and stuff into the microphone. I made this myself out of pantyhose and stuff, so it's a cheap, do-it-yourself filter. So that is a big plus of the Blue Yeti. But thinking about the headset, what if you're playing video games with your friends and you're one of those very mobile people? Like, you're moving around, like you shoot something and you get a headshot and you're like, whoa, and you fly back or whatever. If you're talking to somebody, at least the microphone's moving with you, so your voice and consistency stays the same. If you're like me and sometimes you kind of like, you forget that you're casting a game and you start talking to yourself instead of talking to the video, then you kind of mumble a little bit. With the Yeti, I'm not close enough to maybe pick that up, but with the headset, because you're so close, I think that might get picked up better. So there is definitely advantages to both of these. Going back to the Zalman clip-on mic, the main advantage here was that you can use it with any pair of headphones that you have, and it was a pretty cheap investment. So going back into this, I'd say I explained most of the concepts that I wanted to make you aware of. I think that we have a good baseline comparison of the microphones. I could give you some secondary comparisons, like after processing the audio files, making noise reduction and things on there. I'm pretty sure that the Yeti's going to win out on that, so I'm not really too worried about it. Now I want to let you guys know that the G930 review will be coming up sometime soon, probably next couple of weeks or so when I get the chance to do it. And there are some very, very important things I have to say about this headset. Good and bad, but I think more bad, honestly. I have some things to tell you about the microphone, some things to tell you about the software and the drivers, so you definitely want to stay tuned for that review. So I'm going to call that the end of this video. Sorry about it being so long-winded, but this is one of those videos where I'm trying to explain something. There's no sense in trying to make it quick and missing the point. For those who watched it to the end, hope you found it useful, and I'll see you guys next time.
First shalt thou take out the holy pin, then shalt thou count to 3, no more, no less. 3 shalt be the number thou shalt count, and the number of the counting shall be 3. 4 shalt thou not count, nor either count thou 2, excepting that thou then proceed to 3. 5 is right out. Once the number being 3, being the third number be reached, then lobbest thou thy holy hand grenade of Antioch towards thy foe, who, being nutty in my sight, shall snuff it. Hey guys, thanks for sticking with me all the way to the end. These are the kind of in-depth reviews and comparisons I really like to do, going above and beyond the other things you might find on YouTube or on the internet when you're searching for information. It's my job to make sure that we really dig deep into it. So If you guys appreciate the in-depth comparisons like this, my reviews or my Let's Play videos, by all means, feel free to subscribe to me so you can see all my future content. There's a little thumbs up button you can click that says thanks for the video, so I appreciate that. And I'll see you guys in the next videos.